This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Your entire life runs on a rule book most people have never read. A short document and a patchwork of laws quietly decide whether you can post that video, refuse a search, or challenge a firing. Today, we'll step into those hidden rules shaping your everyday choices. That rulebook doesn't just show up when something dramatic happens, like an arrest or a lawsuit. It's humming in the background during really ordinary moments. When you sign a work contract, click I agree on an app, get denied for an apartment, or even post a critical comment about your boss on social media. Each of those tiny decisions can tap into a different cluster of rights: constitutional protections, workplace rules, consumer safeguards, or privacy laws. Here's the twist: those rights don't all come from the same place, and they don't all apply in the same way. Some only kick in when the government is involved, others bind private companies, and a few protect you even if you never set foot in a courthouse. In this episode, we'll trace where key rights come from and how they actually show up in your daily life. As we zoom in, it helps to see how different layers of protection stack together. One layer is the written text: constitutions, statutes, regulations. Another is how courts interpret that text over time, case by case, like slow but constant software updates. A third lives in the procedures around you: HR policies, terms of service, police protocols, which quietly translate those big rules into scripts people follow. Often, your experience of the law depends less on what's written and more on which of these layers you actually bump into first. Start with where these protections actually come from in practice. One source is foundational documents, like the US Constitution or the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights. They're short but dense, and they set broad guardrails. Government actors can't cross certain lines, even if a majority votes for it. That's why a tiny text, about 7,600 words in the US, can override a brand new law or regulation if a court finds a conflict. Next are ordinary laws passed by legislatures. These are often more specific and much longer. Civil rights statutes, consumer laws, tenant protections, data protection rules. They spell out who is protected, who must comply, and what happens when someone doesn't. For example, Title VII doesn't just say, "Don't discriminate." It lists forbidden bases, defines employer, and creates mechanisms for complaints and remedies. Then come regulations written by agencies. Lawmakers frequently say, in effect, "Here's the goal. Agency, you work out the details." Those agencies translate general mandates into concrete obligations. Forms a bank must use, safety steps a factory must follow, data security measures a tech company must adopt. You may never see the regulation itself, but you feel its effects in the disclosures you sign, the warnings you read, and the steps a company takes before denying you a service. Courts add another layer through interpretation and precedent. When a dispute lands before a judge, they apply existing rules to new facts, and in doing so, sometimes expand or narrow how protections function. That's how we got the requirement that police advise people of their right to remain silent, or why modern privacy expectations extend to digital searches that didn't exist when older texts were written. Finally, there's a quieter source: procedures and design choices inside institutions. HR grievance channels, complaint hotlines, content moderation systems, small claims forms. These can make the difference between a protection that exists on paper and one you can actually use. In a sense, they're the architecture that determines whether your legal options have a real doorway you can walk through, or just a wall with a sign you can't reach. You can see all of this most clearly in ordinary, mildly annoying moments. Say you're offered a job and the offer suddenly vanishes after you mention needing Fridays for religious observance. That frustration isn't just unfair. It may trigger specific anti-discrimination rules, complaint procedures at a civil rights agency, and internal HR review. Or think of being pulled over, questioned, and feeling unsure whether you can decline to answer. The officer's script, their body cam policy, and later access to a public defender office all shape how any underlying protections actually reach you. Online, you might ask a platform to delete an old post that keeps harming your reputation. Behind that delete button sit time limits, country-specific data rules, and appeal routes if the request is refused. In a dispute over a damaged rental car, the path you choose, credit card chargeback, company complaint process, or small claims case, can radically change cost, speed, and your leverage. New tech will keep stress testing old protections. Think of AI hiring tools quietly sorting resumes like a finicky recruiter you never meet, or facial recognition tagging you in public the way a store loyalty card tracks you in the aisles. As climate shocks, deepfakes, and biometric IDs spread, courts and lawmakers will be forced to decide which frictions are just modern life and which cross the line into harms you can challenge. Your challenge this week: when you hit a digital I agree button, new app, device, or website, pause for 60 seconds and ask 3 questions. What data am I actually giving up? Who might reuse it? Employer, insurer, government, data broker? And if this goes wrong, where would I even complain? Notice how often you can't clearly answer all 3. You don't need a law degree to start using what you've learned, just curiosity and a bit of stubbornness. Treat legal questions like debugging a glitchy app. Document what happened, look for the pattern, and then test a small next step: an email, a complaint, a consultation. The goal isn't to win every battle, it's to stop walking past doors that might open. Before next week, ask yourself: 1. If my landlord suddenly tried to evict me or raise my rent tomorrow, do I actually know what my rights are in my city? And where would I go online or locally today to confirm them? 2. Looking at my current job, do I clearly understand my basic rights around wages, overtime, and harassment? And if not, which specific government website, legal aid clinic, or workers' rights group could I reach out to this week to get clarity? 3. If I were stopped by the police on my way home tonight, what exactly would I say or not say to assert my right to remain silent and ask for a lawyer? And do I feel confident enough to practice that wording out loud right now? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!